future, he's the past, he's the present, he's all of cinema himself. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Brandon Cronenberg.
That's a very unfair introduction. I have no idea what to do.
Don't worry. So Brandon dressed me, and I dressed Brandon. So we're ready for this. This is awesome.
Yeah, we said we would swap wardrobe, and how embarrassing.
We're done. Thank you for being here. You're on a little bit of a trip. You were in San Francisco last night, you got here tonight, and then New York 2 nights from now. What's it like having your films finally play in theaters uncut in the form that you wanted?
It's great. I mean, it's a little sad that people like the uncut version better. It's a little, like, I mean, I do too, but it's, I guess works better kind of uncut. Different with Possessor because it sort of didn't get really a release in a normal sense because it was during the pandemic. It was like, kind of playing a video game of releasing a movie because it was all done remotely, it was all through computers, and I didn't get to really talk to audiences or anything. But yeah, to have a night with the two of them it's great, it's hugely exciting. And I'm a hermit, I don't like people, but I feel, I'm moved to, you're obviously I like you guys too, but I'm moved to enjoy this summit.
Yeah, these are definitely your people. This is the house for you. You said, I was going back through some earlier interviews, and you said that when you see a film, you want to be challenged. Does that inform your writing and your filmmaking? Is that a point where you come from initially? Because, we just saw it in this, we'll see it again in Possessor, but some of the iconography in there and some of the scenes and the violence is incredibly intense, deeply unnerving, and really unsettling. So, as I say, getting back to that point, you want to be challenged. Is that something that you then convey through your filmmaking and that you want to put upon your audiences?
I'm not. Usually when I'm sitting down to write something, I'm not thinking, this will upset people. Like, I'm not really trying to do that specifically. To me, that stuff feels justified. I guess as I do it more and more, that seems like a weird explanation. Maybe I'm gonna say this with my characters or something, but usually the narrative has to do with the character's evolution, psychologically, given what they're experiencing and what they're going through. So to me, to really tell that story, because it's so much about the interiority of the characters, you want the audience to experience viscerally what they're going through. Film is a very visual medium, and it isn't the same to just know theoretically that someone has experienced this violence or has gone through this thing, as it is to experience that viscerally and get calibrated through those experiences. So. I'm not deliberately trying to do that, but I don't know, I think you try to make movies that you hope will have some value to people, and the best you can do is think about what you might appreciate as a film and try to do something that you might like.
And is it fair to say, as a result of the environment that you grew up in, to some part, right? You were on your father's sets, and so seeing that type of filmmaking, did it naturally inform your own, would you say? And just your general kind of sensibilities. We've talked a lot, and I think it's fair to say that some of the things that, I think we just have like a hardened sensibility to things that kind of general audiences, and certainly something like the NPA, just revolt away from.
I mean, I didn't really grow up watching my father's films, though. I know I was sort of around that stuff, but I wasn't really exposed to it any more than a kid normally would be exposed to that kind of thing. I watched Fast Company a lot on beta, but in retrospect, it was probably a TV edit because I watched it as an adult. I was like, there are a lot more boobs in this. I feel like I would have remembered all these boobs. But so I didn't really, I think you absorb things from your environment, maybe in a roundabout way. It shapes your upbringing, shapes your interests, I think. But I wasn't really being exposed to that kind of film making any more than other people.
Yeah, and thinking specifically about kind of the violence you've got in your films, and we'll start to transition into the films themselves, but kind of holistically, the violence in the films, incredibly tough, like brutally shot, like there's nothing that's left to the imagination. As you're writing, because you're, with this Possessor and Antarctica, so you're writing your films. Are you seeing the violence depicted in your writing as you're doing it? Is it something that comes to life when you're there and you're shooting? Kareem, your cinematographer on these last two films, you guys work really intimately. How does that come to life?
So it's a bit of both. I mean, okay, I'm writing, I know it's going to be a very long-winded stabbing scene because that's, it's just inevitable that it's going to end up that way. So writing, everybody knows it's going to be a lot of stabbing, I guess. But there's also there's a very collaborative element to it as well, with Kareem and also with Dan Martin, who did both of these films, the effects designer Dan Martin, who you guys might also know as Ben Wheatley's main effects guy. I think you write knowing that to a certain extent you're going to find it with your people. It's the same with the hallucination scenes. I mean, the hallucination scenes even more than the violence. It's a huge process of just, Kareem and I spend months and months just, projecting images through gels and glass and finding ways to deform images and just creating this kind of bank of ideas. And there are these it's all practical in-camera stuff, all of those hallucination sequences. There's no CGI at all. And so you find things with hands-on materials that take you down on a certain path. And it's the same with Dan. He'll be playing with stuff and he'll say, I have this amazing rig that I really wanted to do for another film. I've been trying to do this for years. Can we do it? And both of those guys are just kind of mad geniuses in their field. So, I think it's a to me exciting balance between having it going in and then finding all this other stuff with the people I work with.
And extending that out, what about the relationship with the actors? Because it definitely, seeing it on the page is very different from how it comes to life in the film. It's just from a sense of just being infinitely more graphic and more punishing, especially I think some of the stabbings in this, and then what you put Sean Bean through in Possessor. So what's the relationship like with the talent? Like, how are they working through this, and what's their response? And because it's really interestingly cast between Abbott and Andrea, and then Skarsgård and Gus. What were their visceral reactions to this?
They're all people who do this kind of stuff because they like these kinds of films. If you send a script like that to an actor and they aren't up for it actively, they won't talk to you. There's no interview with them where you may or may not get them on. It's like if you've spoken to them, it's because they're the kind of person who wants to do this kind of thing. So there isn't like, people say, okay, how did you get them to do this? And so, as you say, it's punishing and brutal. They want to do it. I know it seems weird, but that's the kind of people they are. That's who they are as artists, and that's the sort of stuff that's exciting to them. In terms of violence specifically, it's not. I've had these kinds of conversations with people. Violence, when you're doing it on set, is really different from. It's really not violent at all. It's ridiculous on set. It's like playing Halloween. It's just like because okay, Alex getting stabbed, it seems terrible, but in reality it's like, okay, he's standing by the post, he's got this fake thing on, and it's like Dan is like just off camera with his pump, and he's like, the thing is starting to bleed ahead of time, and we're like, oh shit, somebody bombed that up, so someone's gonna come in, and then So we're all like trying to get it ready, and then the kid goes up with a half knife and puts it in, and then it's like, okay, action, and then it's done. It's like 5 seconds of just like yelling and flailing around. So each of those pieces that goes into making a scene like that in practice is so ridiculous. I think the most annoying thing for the actors is 2 things. Fake blood gets uncomfortable after a while, and especially you'll see in Possessor, if you haven't seen it, it's just like, I think, gets into your clothes, and that's annoying. Like we had 2 kids, they're kids in each of the films, both just love doing. Like we did all the right stuff. There were child psychologists who had like we were being very careful. But when you actually have, they're just young kids playing Halloween, it's fun for them. The thing that was most annoying to them is like blood in the clothes, because it's like sticky and like.
Did the kids get to see the films afterwards? Or the parents, or?
I don't know. I certainly didn't recommend it. But and then the other thing is just, it's like prosthetic work, and it's very technical work, because again, you're just getting those seconds of screaming and flailing around. For actors, that's kind of boring. Like effects day for me is really fun, and for my team, and Kareem and Rob Cotterill and Dan, we're all just laughing hysterically. For the actors, it's just not challenging, because they want a dramatic scene with a lot of dialogue. That's a really fun actor scene. This is just like a lot of setup and then a lot of yelling.
Speaking of yelling, Mia, did you write this with her in mind, or you found her through the casting process? Because she takes this role of Gabby, she takes it on, and then she just takes it to a whole other level. Some of the delivery in there, I was joking when I did it, Jamesy, but everything that she brings, it was awesome sitting in the back of the room here, because it's such a descent into just like the darkest depths of our own inner depravity, and then she's on the hood of the car and she pulls the thing right up, and everyone was laughing at the right points. So what was Mia like on set? Did she just turn it on? Did she, to what extent did you have to direct her, or did she just say, no, this is a no where I can take Gabby?
Right. Okay, so first of all, this isn't answering one of your questions, but my editor on this, his name is James, so it was very fun. The scenes and having her, going through all the takes of that was great. Mia, I had always wanted to work with, the first time I saw her was in Infomaniac, and I think her, I've just been following her career the whole time, and every film she's in, I think she just steals every scene. It's incredible. She's just one of those incredible actors. So I was thrilled that she wanted to do it, and she's very humble. So she was, seemed happy to do it. So that's how that came. I don't write for individual actors because it's just too much heartbreak. Like, the stars have to align on so many levels to get any actor in any role that you can't expect it. But I was over the moon to have her on the film, of course. Directing Mia, I like to give my actors a lot of freedom. I've cast them because I think they're incredible artists, and they're going to bring that artistry to the part inevitably. My characters kind of go to sleep on me after a while. You develop a film for years and years and years. If you're writing it, you're living with these characters, and by the time you shoot, you're really bored of them. They've kind of gone to sleep. And so in casting, I really want an exciting actor who's going to come in and surprise me and just wake them up. I don't really do improv. The script is the script, but there's a lot of freedom available to the actors to kind of go off and explore and find the characters that I want. I want to be caught off guard by who those characters become over time. So yeah, with those scenes, it was mainly about creating an environment where Mia could feel free to just go as big as she wanted to and really have fun with it. And, as a you're always editing in your head. You're always making sure that you get the right moments. Giving general direction, but also I want to give her a lot of freedom. For the cut when she's doing the speech with the gun, she was like, Brandon, what if I was just like firing a gun off a few times to get myself pumped? Is that okay? I was like, no. that would be cool, but we're not set up to have you just like shooting wildly into the air or shooting it over right now. So she's like, okay. And then so what she did was she ran around the bus and was like taunting Alex in the bus and going, James. Like slapping like that, and then she runs to the car and then do it. So with Mia, there's kind of she takes some time, gets herself into it in this really amazing way. Sometimes for a few scenes we would just roll the camera and let her do like takes and just like get herself worked up. She goes into this incredible place and then immediately afterwards just turns it off and is like super polite and delightful. Like she doesn't bring any of it onto the set afterwards. She gets herself worked out and then it's just like, oh, thank you.
She's a polite young English woman and not a deranged sociopath.
I don't know her in her life. But on set, she was just totally delightful and really easy to work with and great. It was just,
that's the quote. If anyone knows Mia, that's the quote. She was delightful to work with. She's not a deranged sociopath. And then Alex is almost an inversion of who he is and who we've seen, even going all the way back to True Blood. Like he's always been the super dominant alpha male, and this came out. I've got to tell you, this came out after Northman. I think that's right, where he'd just been like just ripping people's throats out with his bare teeth. So that's also perfect casting as well, because it's against character for who he'd been previously.
Yeah, but he is a very funny and subversive guy, and he likes to push himself to these extremes. He likes to do things that are unexpected. I mean, I think that's one of the, you can tell this in his performances, and that's one of the reasons I love him so much as an actor is he has the presence and the ability to do this sort of Hollywood leading man thing, and he has done that stuff, and he can. He's got the look and the charisma, and that's its own talent. Not to diminish that,
yeah.
But he's way more interesting than that, and he really wants to push himself to these extremes and do unexpected stuff, and he has the ability to do both things. And so, especially for a film like this, it was perfect because he could begin the film looking like he stepped out of this tourist brochure, but then play completely against type and go to all these weird places and wear a leash and but that, again, that's stuff that he likes, like he wants to. Well, again, I don't know him in his personal life. I will say that when we were doing Q&As together, he insisted on being walked. That was on a leash. I walked him on a leash several times privately, and that was his idea. So, take what you want from that.
We're taking the ball.